Hello everyone, Carl here with Trilobyte Studios. As you're all well aware, this month has been about cryptids, and today will be no different. Today, we'll be hopping on a plane for our next cryptid hunt, and departing into the harsh, unforgiving landscape of Nepal. Here, locals have claimed to see a beast unlike any other creature we have explored so far this month. Strap yourselves in, because the scarometer is rocketing to a 7. This is an animal that is said to stand upright, like a man, but has the features and temperament of a primitive ape. Today, we go in search of the Yeti. Nepal is a small landlocked country nestled right between both India and China. It is a mountainous country, as much of its land is taken up by the Himalayan mountain range. In fact, the average elevation in Nepal is just over 3,000 meters above sea level. That's more than 10,000 feet. For context, the highest peak in the United States, Mount McKinley, stands a little over 20,000 feet tall. Nepal has a harsh and unforgiving climate that has bred a robust people, and it is from these amazing people, inhabiting the slopes of the Himalayas, that the legend of this creature hails from. Abominable Snowman, Man Bear, Yeti. These are just some of the names many locals have given to a mysterious large ape high in the Himalayan mountains. People often describe this creature as a large bipedal ape-like creature, covered in brown to white hair. Some even claim that they got so close they could see large canines in the mouth. In Tibetan lore, Yeti are classified into 3 subspecies. The first is the Nyalamo, the largest of the subspecies. It is said to have jet black hair, be highly aggressive, and stands nearly 15 feet tall. The second, the Chudi, is an 8-foot tall creature that lives around 8,000 to 10,000 feet above sea level. The third, and final one, is the Rang Shami Bombo, which is said to have reddish-brown hair and stands only 3 to 5 feet tall. Each subspecies in itself is terrifying, but the species we will be focusing on today is the largest and most aggressive species, the Nyalamo. There is no definitive way to pinpoint man's first encounter with the Yeti. The people of Nepal have been seeing the Yeti for as long as they and their ancestors have inhabited the region. The Yeti, in Tibetan myth, is said to be many things: an omen of bad luck, a god of hunting, a crucial offering in sacrifices, and even a follower of religious men. All of these things and more encompass the Yeti. The first recorded encounter with the Yeti came from a journal published in 1832. After spending some time in Nepal, Brian Houghton Hodgson claimed that he and his guides witnessed a large, hairy biped that fled from them on sight. Not too long after Hodgson's encounter came another, this time in 1899, when Lawrence Waddell reported that his guides saw a large ape-like creature that left odd footprints in the snow. Many more sightings were to come in the 20th century. The legend of the Yeti turned into fact, and many people from around the world trekked to Nepal in order to witness the creature. The Nazis, yes, the Nazis, actually launched a secret mission to Nepal during the time frame of the Second World War. This secret mission was done in an effort to find and capture a Yeti. The Nazis planned on using the Yeti to create a new race of half-Yeti, half-human super soldiers to assist in the war effort. No, I'm not making this up. By 1951, Western interest in the Yeti had reached pitch fever. The Yeti fever was further exacerbated by the famous track photos taken by Eric Shipton, which showed large, unidentifiable tracks in the snow. At this point, many people in the Western Hemisphere began to believe that the Yeti did, in fact, exist. Now I'll be honest with you, nothing in this profile thus far has been too scary. That's about to change, and you'll see why we gave this a 7 on the scarometer. Before we get into this story, please understand that this is a real unsolved case, and if you'd like to look more, I'd really recommend you go over to the Wikipedia page and look into this case more closely. This version of the story does not reflect my actual views in regard to the event. This is Cryptid Month after all, and we're trying to scare you. Alright, now it's time to get scary. Consider this your warning. The single most disturbing account regarding the Yeti comes from an event in 1959, now known as the Dyatlov Pass Incident. While it is called the Dyatlov Pass Incident, the incident in fact took place about 1,700 meters, or 5,600 feet away, on the eastern slope of Kolatsiakal, a mountain that is part of the Ural Range. Regardless, this report comes out of Russia and centers on a group of 9 college-age cross-country skiers. The group was out on a skiing trip and originally consisted of 8 men and 2 women, all of whom were experienced Grade 2 hikers. The group would then receive the title of Grade 3 upon their safe return from this expedition. Grade 3 was the highest rank a hiker could achieve. The hikers had their route approved, elected Igor Dyatlov their leader, then set off on January 27, 1959. Only a day later, on January 28th, one member of the group, Yuri Yudin, had to turn back due to health problems. He did not realize that this was the last time he would see his friends, and that this decision truly saved his life. Initially, the trip was going well, but things quickly changed. The trekkers realized that someone, or something, was stalking them. The journals of the party noted that for the past 2 days, it felt as though they were being watched, and the group became uneasy. The team also noted in their diary that the northern part of the Ural mountain range was known to be home to a Yeti. Mere days before their demise, this haunting picture was taken. It was in the middle of the recovered camera roll. Take this picture as you will. On the evening of February the 1st, the party erected a tent on the eastern slope of Kulat Syakhl in an open, exposed position. Why the party of experienced hikers erected their tent in this position instead of in the safety of the tree line is unknown. Perhaps they simply did not want to lose the progress they had made that day. Or maybe they wanted to stay out of the trees and watch for something. Suddenly in the night, a roar was heard. The group's tent came under siege. The Yeti let its wrath be felt. The group panicked and slashed their way out of the tent. Not bothering to grab their clothes or even their shoes, they ran off barefooted into the night. Bivouacked under a large pine tree, the half-naked, desperate group tried to start a fire and set up a watch on their tent, but it was in vain. 3 of the members felt the beast's wrath firsthand and died due to severe head and chest trauma. The others, too terrified to return to their tent for their clothes or even their shoes, froze to death there, sat under the pine tree while the beast continued its murderous rampage, picking the members off, one by one. The bodies and tent were discovered mere weeks after the incident, and a formal investigation was opened. The tent had indeed been cut open, and all of the party's gear was still inside. More disturbing, many of the victims had sustained horrible injuries. One member had their tongue ripped from their mouth, while another had their eyes gouged out. All of the bodies, found away from the bivouac shelter, had sustained trauma. The other members, sat under that pine tree, did indeed freeze to death. What on earth could have compelled these experienced skiers to mutilate and abandon their tent in the middle of the night, then flee from it, forfeiting their clothes, shoes, and supplies? We may never know. However, the official conclusion to the investigation and the probable cause of death was cited as a compelling force of nature.